Listen closely. You've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for the world to recognize your worth, waiting for someone to finally see what you're made of. But here's the hard truth. No one is coming. They've already made their judgments. They've already labeled you, sized you up, and decided you weren't worth their time. They thought you were weak. They thought you'd stay down. And for a while, maybe you did. Maybe you believed them. You've carried the weight of their arrogance like a shackle, letting their doubts whisper in your ear, telling you what you can't do. But enough of that. Enough of their lies, enough of your silence. It's time to stop waiting for permission to rise. What they didn't understand, what they never saw, was that you were never meant to be anyone's expectation. You weren't meant to fit into their narrow view of what's possible. Their arrogance, their underestimation of you, wasn't just a mistake. It was their biggest mistake. Because the moment they decided you weren't worth their time, that was the moment they sealed their own fate. They didn't know what you're capable of. They didn't know the storm that's been building inside you, the one that's about to break free. And now, you have a choice. You can stay in the shadows, continue to let their arrogance control your fate, or you can take that fire that they tried to snuff out and use it to burn through every wall they've built around you. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep playing small, let them continue to think they have power over you? Are you going to stay quiet, believing that maybe, just maybe, they were right? Or are you going to stand up, shake off the weight of their doubts, and show the world that their arrogance was their undoing? You've heard it before. Don't let others define you. But right now, in this moment, you have to ask yourself, why did you let them? Why did you let their arrogance be your prison? Who told you that you weren't enough? And more importantly, what happens when you stop believing it? Right now, you have something that they will never have, the power to rise. They thought you'd stay down. They thought you were weak, too small, too broken to ever stand tall again. And maybe you fell, maybe you stumbled, but now you're about to show them something they'll never see coming. Your rise wasn't just inevitable. It was earned. The moment they underestimated you, they set the stage for your transformation. Now, it's your time. The question isn't whether you can rise. The question is, what are you waiting for? You felt it, haven't you? That constant weight, the way it presses down on you, unrelenting, suffocating. It's like you're carrying the world on your shoulders and yet no one sees it. They don't see the toll it takes to get up every day, to face the world with a mask of normalcy while inside you're crumbling. You've been crushed under the weight of their judgment, the sneers, the words laced with pity or disdain. They've looked at you as if you're nothing more than a fleeting moment, a blip on their radar, a shadow that doesn't deserve their attention. You've been silenced by the arrogance of people who believed their position gave them power over you. But what they didn't realize, what they still refuse to see, is that their arrogance is a cage, and you are the one with the key. They didn't even need to say the words. Their eyes spoke volumes. They looked at you like you were too small, too insignificant, too flawed to ever amount to anything. You didn't need to be told you were unworthy. They made sure you felt it. Every action, every word, every moment they overlooked you, reminded you of your place. And think poor people when they have none. Kandora walks in. Kandora takes the people pouch and pours his sup. The weight of their arrogance became the chains that kept you bound. It wasn't just the direct slights or the insults. It was the subtle things. The way they dismissed you, the way they never took you seriously, the way they didn't even see you. And slowly, over time, their perceptions started to eat away at you. You began to question yourself. You began to wonder if maybe they were right. Am I too small? Am I not good enough? You told yourself that their judgment didn't matter, but deep down, you couldn't escape the sting. Every failure, every misstep became a painful confirmation of what they'd been whispering to you all along. Their doubt became your doubt. Their arrogance became your insecurity. You became trapped in their limited view of you, a view that was nothing but a reflection of their own ignorance. And it hurt, didn't it? To watch as they moved through life, unbothered by the weight they placed on you, while you struggled under the pressure of their assumptions. But the worst part, the part that cuts the deepest, the part that you've never fully admitted to anyone, you let it affect you. You let their arrogance creep into your mind, your heart, your soul. You let it shape your view of yourself. You internalized it. And now, you feel the remnants of that internalized judgment gnawing at you like a constant hum in the background. It whispers in your ear when you're about to take a chance. It holds you back when you're standing on the precipice of change. You're further from God in all affections. We're free to be great. Every time you think about stepping forward, you hear their voice, whether it's their actual words or the echo of their arrogance, telling you you can't do it. But let me ask you this. What if they were wrong? They wanted you to believe that you were small, that you were weak. They wanted you to shrink, to blend in with the shadows, to accept their limits for you. But somewhere deep inside you, you know they were wrong. Somewhere deep inside you, there's a fire that they tried to smother, a power that they underestimated. And while they may have pushed you down, while they may have tried to box you in with their narrow view of the world, there's a part of you that is still fighting. It's buried beneath the weight of their arrogance, buried under the layers of self-doubt they've created, but it's there. And that fire, it's about to burn through it all. But before we talk about rising, we have to face the truth of what they did. You see, they didn't just underestimate your potential. No, it was far worse than that. They didn't just doubt your ability, they dismissed your humanity. They treated you like you were disposable, like you didn't matter. They saw you as nothing more than a means to an end, something to be used, pushed aside when convenient. And in doing so, they turned you into a reflection of their own fears. Their arrogance was never about you, it was about them. It was about their need to keep you small, to keep you silent, so they could feel bigger than they were. Molly sighed. Yeah, some of them. Everybody has their challenge. But for the most part, they're the key to many relationships that have perhaps long been forgotten. It was about their insecurities, their need to control, to dominate, to prove they were right. They needed to crush your spirit to validate their own. They needed to make you doubt yourself so they could feel safe in their own ignorance. And that's the moment when everything changed. When their arrogance wasn't just a reflection of their failure, it became yours to dismantle. Because whether they intended it or not, they gave you the perfect weapon. They handed you the very thing you needed to break free, the truth about what they were really afraid of. They were afraid of you, afraid of what you might become if you ever realized your true worth. But here's the painful part of that truth. You let them win. You let their arrogance define you for too long. You let their ignorance take root in your mind, in your heart. You let their assumptions shape your actions, and in doing so, you held yourself back. Not because you didn't have the strength, but because you doubted it. You believed their lies, their judgments, their limitations. And slowly, the world you had imagined for yourself shrank. You stopped taking risks. You stopped stepping forward. You played small, like they told you to. And with every concession, every moment you stayed quiet, you felt a piece of yourself die. But let's be clear, you're still here. And though it might not feel like it, that means you're still in the fight. There's still time to rewrite the story. The truth is, you've already been through the hardest part, surviving their arrogance. The hardest part was letting their lies seep into your bones. But now it's time to rise. It's time to shatter the illusion they built around you. You don't need their approval, their validation, their belief in your worth. You just need yourself. The villain in this story, it was never them. It was the doubt they instilled in you, the fear they created, the belief that you were nothing. And that is what you need to face. Because when you do, when you stand in front of that reflection of self-doubt and stare it down, you'll realize that the battle was never about them. It was about you all along. Now, ask yourself, what will you do with this power? There are days when it feels like the world has turned its back on you, as if everything is stacked against you. You wake up and the heaviness is there, like a blanket of dread that refuses to let go. You tell yourself it's just another day, but deep down, you know it isn't. It never is. The battles from yesterday don't just fade into memory. They settle in your bones, in your chest, in the back of your mind. You've been fighting for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be free of the weight. It's like walking through a storm that never stops, drenched by rain that never lets up, the wind cutting into your skin. It's a numbness that seeps into your soul, and you can't remember when you last felt whole, when you last felt alive, when you last felt like you mattered. Every step you take feels like trudging through thick mud. Each movement, no matter how small, takes all the strength you have, but still, you don't move forward, not in the way you want to. You're stuck, and the harder you fight, the deeper you sink. You've reached a place where your dreams feel so distant that they might as well be on the other side of the world, and you wonder, why bother? What's the point in struggling when nothing changes, when you've tried and failed so many times that you've lost count? When the voices of doubt have become so loud that they drown out everything else, they made you feel small, invisible, like you didn't matter. You've watched others rise while you've remained on the ground, wondering if you'll ever catch up, if you'll ever be seen for who you truly are. The people who said they cared, the ones who told you they believed in you, they've faded into the background, leaving you with nothing but the echo of their empty promises. You gave them your trust, your loyalty, and in return they handed you their arrogance. Their eyes told you that you weren't enough. Their words spoke volumes of judgment, telling you in no uncertain terms that you were too weak, too flawed, too broken to ever succeed. And you believed them. But the hardest part isn't the rejection, no. The hardest part is looking into the mirror and seeing the reflection of someone who's lost. Someone who has forgotten their worth, someone who has let the noise of the world drown out their own voice. You see the empty eyes staring back at you, the one who's given up, the one who stopped trying, because the pain of failing again feels worse than the pain of trying at all. And you wonder, how did I get here? In those moments, when you're alone with your thoughts, the doubts claw at your mind. You wonder if you're ever going to break free, if you're ever going to feel the warmth of hope again. The road ahead feels so far, so impossible. Every time you take a step toward what you want, it feels like the universe is pulling you back, dragging you under, like you'll never escape this suffocating, relentless struggle. It's too much, you think. It's not worth it anymore. You've tried to ignore it, you've tried to push through, but when you're walking through this kind of pain, this kind of suffocation, there's no escaping it. It seeps into everything. It's in the way you wake up every morning with a sense of dread. It's in the way your heart feels heavy and your mind runs on autopilot, doing just enough to get by, but not enough to truly live. It's in the constant replay of their words, their rejection, their judgment, echoing in your mind like a broken record. And the worst part? You don't know if you can keep going. The fire that once burned inside you feels like it's been reduced to a smoldering ember, barely clinging to life. You're exhausted. Exhausted from the fight, from the constant battle of proving yourself, of getting up when the world keeps knocking you down. You're tired of feeling invisible, tired of seeing people pass you by, tired of wondering when your turn will come. You're tired of being the one who always ends up on the sidelines, the one who always has to fight harder than everyone else just to be seen. But here's the thing, this is not the end. This darkness, this weight, this suffocating sense of despair, it's not where your story ends. It feels like it. It feels like it's all there is. But it's not. It's just a chapter. It's just a moment, no matter how long it feels. You've been stuck here, yes, but that doesn't mean you always will be. What you're feeling now, this hollow emptiness, this desperation to break free, that's not defeat. It's a sign that you've been fighting a battle that wasn't even yours to fight. You've been carrying a burden that wasn't yours to carry. You've been playing by rules that others set for you, following paths that weren't yours to walk. And no wonder you're exhausted. No wonder you're beaten down. No wonder it feels like you're trapped. But I want you to hear this now, as clearly as you've ever heard anything in your life. The only thing keeping you here, in this place of despair, is you. The pain, the weight, the struggle, it's not permanent. It's not forever. It only feels that way because you've allowed it to define you. You've allowed it to shape your perception of who you are, who you can be. But in truth, this isn't you. This isn't who you were meant to be. This is just the shadow of the fight you've been through. This is the bruising, the wear, the scars that have built up along the way. And though you might be at your lowest point right now, the only thing that's holding you there is the belief that this is all you can be. The pain you feel now, it's not your end. It's your invitation to something greater. It's your opportunity to rise. You see, they thought they broke you. They thought they could crush your spirit, bury you under their arrogance, under their judgments. But what they didn't see was that pain doesn't destroy you. It changes you. Every wound, every scar, every moment you've spent in this darkness is shaping you into someone they'll never recognize. This is where the fight really begins. The struggle isn't the end, it's the beginning. And this is the turning point. This is where you take that pain and turn it into power. But first, you have to let go of the belief that this despair is all you are. You have to recognize that you are more than the weight you carry, more than the scars they left on you. You are the warrior who survived the storm. And now, you're about to rise from it. Are you ready? Because your time is coming. This darkness, it's about to break. Let me remind you of something. That weight you've been carrying, that darkness you've been walking through, it isn't the end of the story. It was never meant to be. It's been shaping you, chiseling you, preparing you for something greater. The storm you've weathered, the pain you've endured, the days when you thought you couldn't go on, that's not weakness, that's power. That's the resilience that's been quietly building inside you, the kind of strength that comes from surviving when the odds were stacked against you, the kind of strength that is only born from the deepest of struggles. They thought they could break you. They thought they could bury you under the weight of their arrogance, their judgment, their indifference. But what they didn't see, what they didn't understand, was the fire that was simmering beneath the surface. You thought it was gone, didn't you? You thought that fire had burned out, that it had turned to ash along with your dreams. But deep inside, where the pain lives, where the memories of their words still echo, there's something more. There's something they didn't count on. That fire is still there and it's about to explode. Look at yourself right now. Do you see the warrior beneath the wounds? Do you see the strength that has been forged in the fire of your struggle? You've spent so long listening to their lies, believing in their judgment, but now it's time to listen to the truth. You are not broken. You are not the sum of their doubts, their arrogance, or their dismissals. You are the sum of everything you've survived. You are the collection of every battle, every scar, every bruise that has made you who you are today. Those scars aren't evidence of your defeat. No, they're proof that you are still here. You're still standing. You've been through hell, but you didn't burn up. You didn't break. You came through it stronger, sharper, more powerful than you were before. You see, every moment you thought you were being crushed, every time you believed the pain would swallow you whole, that was just a moment in time. That was just a chapter. And every chapter, no matter how painful, no matter how brutal, prepares you for the next. Because what you need to understand is this: in every failure there was a lesson, in every fall a chance to rise. They tried to make you feel like you were worthless. But the truth is that your mistakes were never the end, they were the beginning. Each time you stumbled, you learned. Each time you fell, you built resilience. Every time you thought you couldn't get back up, something inside you refused to let go. Do you realize what this means? It means that you've already won. You've already succeeded. You've already fought through things that most people couldn't even imagine, and you're still here. They wanted to see you fall. They wanted you to believe that you were nothing, that you had nothing to offer. But they were wrong. So wrong. Because the truth is, everything they tried to do to you, every judgment, every sneer, every cruel word, only gave you the tools you needed to rise. You've been climbing without even realizing it. The weight of their arrogance, that was just your armor being forged. The rejection, the doubts, the pain, that was just your weapon being sharpened. Do you hear me? You are not the person they made you believe you were. You are not the victim they tried to create. You are a survivor, a warrior, a force of nature that has been weathering the storm in preparation for the moment when you break free. And that moment is now. You might not feel it yet. You might still feel the weight of the world pressing on you, like you're not enough, like you don't have what it takes. But that's the lie they told you, and you believed it for far too long. Now, it's time to take those lies and burn them to the ground. It's time to reclaim what is rightfully yours, because inside you, there is a strength that no one can touch. There is a fire that no one can extinguish. You've always had it. You've always been capable of more than they ever thought. And now, it's time to show them. Think back to all the moments they doubted you. Think back to the times they made you feel small, invisible, like you didn't matter. Every time they told you that you couldn't do it, that you were unworthy, that you weren't strong enough. That was their arrogance, not your truth. They saw you as weak, but what they missed was the quiet strength you carried. They couldn't see the resilience in your bones, the persistence in your spirit, the power that refused to die no matter how many times they tried to crush it. That's the thing about people who underestimate others. They fail to recognize the strength it takes to survive. They fail to see that every time they push you down, you rise higher than before. They don't realize that the more they try to hold you back, the more they feed the fire inside you. They thought they were destroying you, but what they didn't understand was that every cruel word, every rejection, every moment of doubt only strengthened you. Your scars? They're not signs of weakness. They're your armor. They're your proof that you've been through something and you've survived. You didn't break. You didn't give up. You stood tall, even when it seemed impossible. And now, that strength will carry you forward. Every mistake you've made, they were never failures. They were lessons. Every time you fell, you learned how to get back up. And that is something no one can take from you. They thought you were nothing. They thought they could control your destiny, shape your future with their arrogance and judgment. But what they didn't realize is that their arrogance only gave you the fuel you needed to burn brighter. They pushed you, and you pulled back. They doubted you, and you started to doubt yourself. But somewhere, deep inside, there's a voice that refuses to be silenced. And that voice? It's louder now. It's stronger now. It's rising up from the ashes of everything they tried to bury. It's your call to arms, and it's time you answered. It's time you stepped into the power that's always been yours. Because in the end, the only person who can define you is you. Not them, not their arrogance, not their doubts, not their lies. This is your moment. This is your time to rise. So ask yourself, who are you now? Because this isn't the same person they thought they could break. This is the person who's been forged in fire, who's walked through the storm and come out stronger on the other side. This is the person who refuses to be defined by anyone else's limits. This is the person who's about to show the world that their arrogance was their biggest mistake. This is your time. You've been preparing for this moment your whole life, and now you're ready to take your place in the world. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more playing small. You are not a victim. You are a warrior, and the world is about to see exactly what happens when you take back your power. Are you ready to rise? There comes a moment in every story, a single breath between chaos and clarity, where everything shifts. The world goes still, and you see it, really see it. You've been walking in the shadows for so long, stumbling through the wreckage of what others said you were, that you forgot one simple truth. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to fit into their boxes, into their limited view of you. The others meant perfectly of you. What they said you meant, but did you hear it? Did you hear that sound? That sound of chains breaking? The sound of everything they tried to hold you down with finally shattering into dust? You thought you were trapped, didn't you? You thought they held the keys to your future, to your success, to your worth. You thought you were powerless against their judgment, against their arrogance, against the lies they told you. You believed for a moment that their words had weight, that their arrogance was law, and you were just a footnote in their story. But right now, in this moment, do you feel it? You are the architect of your future, not them, not their doubts, not their expectations. You. The chains you thought were holding you down, they were never real. They were just illusions, fabrications of the fear they planted in you, the limitations they imposed, the boxes they tried to trap you in. But now you see it, don't you? You've just broken free. You've just shattered the prison they locked you in, and now you know you were never meant to stay inside. Let that sink in. Take a deep breath and feel it in every fiber of your being. You are free. You are no longer defined by their judgment, no longer shackled by their doubts. You've been walking around in a cage made of their arrogance, their assumptions, their disregard for your potential, but that cage was never your home. It was always an illusion. The moment you stop believing in the prison is the moment you realize the door was never locked. The only thing that kept you in that place of pain, that place of doubt, that place of confusion, was you. It was your belief that their words mattered more than your truth, that their judgment had more power than your strength. But no more. I want you to take a long, hard look at what you've been through. All the pain, all the rejection, all the moments they made you feel like you weren't good enough, like you would never rise. Every tear, every sleepless night, every time you thought you weren't enough, that wasn't a sign of your weakness. No, that was the evidence of your strength. That was the proof that you are a force to be reckoned with. And now, in this moment, it's all clicking into place, isn't it? Everything they tried to do to you only served to make you stronger. They thought they could break you, but they didn't see it. They didn't see the truth burning inside you, the fire that refused to die no matter how many times they tried to drown it. They didn't see you coming. But now you do. Now you see what they didn't. You see the truth that's been hiding in the depths of your soul all along. You are not their victim. You are not the person they tried to make you. You are more. You are more than their doubts. You are more than their judgment. You are more than the limitations they tried to place on you. You are the one who defines you. Every step they thought you'd never take, you've already taken it. Every victory they thought you'd never achieve, you've already claimed it. Every dream they thought was out of reach, it's within your grasp right now. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to blend into the background. You were made to stand out. You were made to take up space. You were made to rise above. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to move forward. I'm telling you now, start with this moment. This is your turning point. This is the moment when you realize that everything you've been through, the pain, the rejection, the failures, the losses, the moments of doubt, it was all leading to this. It was all leading to the moment when you would stop allowing others to define your story. Look back if you must. Look at all the times you thought you weren't enough, all the moments you felt like you couldn't go on. But now look at yourself again. Look at what you've become. Look at what you've survived. Look at how far you've come. Do you see it? Do you see that the person who doubted you, they're no longer in control? You are. It doesn't matter what they said. It doesn't matter what they thought. What matters now is that you decide what happens next. No more asking for permission, no more waiting for validation, no more doubting yourself, because you have everything you need inside you. You have the power to create your future. You have the ability to shape your destiny, to claim the life you deserve, to rise from the ashes and build something that's truly yours. And I want you to hear this. The power to change your life has always been in your hands. They wanted to trap you. They wanted you to stay small, to stay in the shadows of their judgment, to stay in the box they so carelessly tried to put you in. But they didn't count on one thing, you. They didn't count on the strength that was growing inside you. They didn't count on the fire that was always there, burning under the surface. And now that fire is about to explode. This is your moment, your time, your chance to redefine everything. The person you thought you had to be, you can leave them behind. The life you thought you were stuck in, you can step out of it. You don't have to live in their box anymore. You don't have to listen to their limits. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to break free. So, ask yourself now, what do you want to do with this power? What will you create with this strength? This is your story. You are the author. And everything you've ever wanted, it starts now. It starts with you. They thought they could hold you back. They thought they could keep you down. But did you hear that sound? That's the sound of you breaking free. Now it's time. Time to rise. Time to step out of the shadows and claim what's always been yours. This is your moment. And it's not just about proving them wrong anymore. It's about proving yourself right. It's about standing tall, not for anyone else's approval, but for your own power. This is your time, not tomorrow, not next year, now, right now. You've carried the weight of their judgment, their arrogance, their doubt. You've let their voices drown out your own. But that ends today. You've been fighting for so long, fighting against everything they've thrown at you, but now it's time to stop fighting to survive and start fighting to thrive. No more waiting, no more asking for permission, no more doubting yourself. You are the one who holds the key to your future, not them. You. I want you to take a moment and reflect. Reflect on every setback, reflect on every failure, reflect on every moment they made you feel small, like you were nothing. Every time they laughed at you, pushed you down, told you you weren't enough. Those were never your weaknesses. Those were the seeds of your strength. Every scar, every wound, every moment they doubted you. Those are the roots of your power, the foundation of who you are becoming. Every bruise is a testament to your resilience. Every setback was simply a setup for your comeback. They wanted you to fall, didn't they? They wanted you to stay down. They wanted to see you crushed beneath the weight of their arrogance. But now, you are standing taller than you ever have before. And those moments, those struggles, those are no longer your chains. They are your launch pad. Every time they knocked you down, you rose higher. Every time they doubted you, you became stronger. You've been building the foundation for something incredible, something they'll never be able to take from you. Your power, your confidence, your freedom. So now that you see it, now that you realize the truth, what are you going to do with it? How will you use your power? What will you create with this newfound strength? Here's what I want you to know. Every single challenge you've faced, every single battle you've fought, has been shaping you into the person you're meant to be. It hasn't been to punish you, it's been to prepare you. You've been training in the darkness. You've been learning in the silence. You've been evolving in the quiet moments when no one was looking. And now, it's time to rise. Every battle you fought was a step forward. Every mistake, every failure, every time you stumbled, it was all part of the process. And now, you have the knowledge. You have the resilience. You have the fire. You are stronger than you've ever been. And it's time to take action. No more holding back. No more waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is right now. The time is now. I know you've been afraid. I know you've doubted yourself. I know you've looked at the mountain in front of you and thought it was too steep to climb. But let me tell you something. That mountain is your victory. That mountain is your opportunity. Every challenge in front of you is a chance for you to prove to yourself what you're truly capable of. Every obstacle is a stepping stone, not a roadblock. Every time life throws you down, you rise higher. Every single moment of doubt, every time you were told you couldn't, you will prove them wrong. So what are you going to do with the power that's inside you right now? What are you going to do with the fire that's burning within you? Are you going to keep playing small, keep living in the shadows of what others think of you? Or are you going to step into the light of your own greatness? Listen to me. Your past doesn't define you. Your struggles don't define you. You define you. And now it's time to live like you believe it. It's time to rise to the level of the person you've always been meant to be. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that you're worthy. Don't wait for someone to validate your dreams. Your dreams are valid because you are here. Your power is valid because you fought for it. Your voice is valid because it's the truth. It's time to take what's yours. No one else will do it for you. No one else can give you permission to succeed. Only you have the power to make it happen. You are the architect of your own destiny. So what's next? What are you going to do with this fire inside you? With all this strength you've been building for so long? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to rise. You're going to push through the fear. You're going to break the chains they've wrapped around your dreams. And you're going to build something unstoppable. Because the world thought your fall was the end, didn't they? They thought they had you trapped. They thought they could break you, but here you are, standing tall. And now, you're about to show them that your fall wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. You're not just going to survive anymore. You're going to thrive. The world is waiting for you. They're waiting for you to show up. They're waiting for you to rise to the occasion. Sit up, and when you do, when you finally stand in your full power and start taking action, nothing can stop you. The time to rise is now. Take the first step, make the move. You've already won. Now it's time to claim your victory. This is your moment. This is your time. Now go take it.